Hey, Southern Saskatchewan, it's James and Kyla from YQR, and we're here to answer your questions to the CEO. Okay, so today we're going to start with some air service questions. Any chance of Delta Airlines coming back to YQR?
Well, I think as many folks can remember, about a decade ago, we used to have two U.S. carriers in our market, Delta and United. Now, for all intents and purposes, about a year and a half ago, we were happy to announce that WestJet began serving Minneapolis with what we call a Delta code share. Kyla, have you heard of a code share before?
Yes, I have, but maybe not everybody else.
Well, let's everyone know what that is. So basically, it means it's a partnership between those two airlines. So really, Delta has returned to our market. They're just operating as WestJet Airlines. So you can purchase a flight today on either WestJet.com or Delta.com, and you can access the Delta network right through Minneapolis. We are thrilled.
What is YQR proactively doing to bring affordable, cheaper flying options to Southern Saskatchewan?
Well, we're regularly marketing to airlines, Kyla. As you know, you're part of that marketing team, and we want to have lots of airlines fly here. Now, in terms of low-cost flights, there's really two components. One, we used to have an airline in our city called Flair Air. We actually made a big investment in bringing them in during COVID. They tried operating here. Unfortunately, it wasn't as popular as we were hoping. But we're happy to share that about a year ago, the major airline WestJet, now followed by Air Canada, have introduced new fare classes. Kyla, are you familiar with the ultra basic fare?
I am. I don't know if it's for me, but I am.
Well, it's not for everybody, but it would be for the customers who might want an ultra low cost when traveling to major Canadian cities. Let me explain. So when you purchase a WestJet flight today, one of the fare classes for most cities you can connect to is called Ultra Basic. What I'm talking about are fares at often under $100 or around $100 to get to places like Vancouver, to Toronto, to Calgary, to Winnipeg, to Edmonton. It's incredible. But you don't get a bag included in that fare. You get a personal item. So, Kyla, it's really good if we want to beat Winnipeg, for example, flying there when the Riders are playing. You can bring an overnight bag, maybe a toothbrush. The main message, though, is affordability is here now, and it's for everyone. But what I would strongly encourage is that you sign up with the airline's website, specifically their email list. We're talking about WestJet, United, Air Canada, and Delta. They are regularly putting out promotions in our market. They are regularly providing seat sales. And there's some really aggressive fares and attractive fares while that's happening. But if you want something almost every day of the week, as long as you book far enough ahead, the ultra basic fare class or the equivalent with Air Canada is offering tremendous value right now today and right here from YQR.
Are we expecting any new destinations to YQR?
Well, I can tell you, Kyla, as you know, we're always working on new flights with existing airlines or in some cases more frequency to major Canadian hubs. But just recently, we had a big success for our city, which was the reintroduction of our first U.S. carrier in over 10 years, United Airlines. So as you know, May 15th, they started service into the Denver hub. This is a major American hub. It's about twice the size of Toronto Pearson, which is Canada's biggest airport. You can connect almost anywhere you want from Denver. So that's a big win for our community and something we're very proud of. We're the first airport in Saskatchewan to be able to bring a U.S. carrier back to our market like that. But we have our eyes set aside for new flights and new destinations. And I can tell you, we regularly talk with airlines. And I want those watching today to know that on a consistent basis, on top of phone calls and meetings, we even go to conferences that are like speed dating sessions. I'm serious. Tables set up in a conference floor where we bring business cases to talk with new airlines to introduce Southern Saskatchewan and Regina and let them know we're open for business. And we are open for business. Very low cost for airline to operate here. We have a very attractive airport for them, but it really comes down to what they want to see as a commercial opportunity for them. So we're going to stay at it. We ask our community to support the airport and the flights we have. And we're going to do our best to work with our community partners in having more air service attracted to our beautiful city in the future.
Okay, you kind of answered it a little bit, but a lot of people asked about Porter. So is there any chance Porter's coming?
Well, Kyla, if it was our choice, we'd already have Porter here. We have been talking with Porter for the better part of 2 years. And if you aren't aware, Porter Airlines traditionally was flying Q400 aircraft out of an airport known as Toronto Island or Billy Bishop Airport, which is in Ontario. But a couple years back, they started purchasing jets, wanting to become Canada's third national airline. And they've been deploying these jets all over the country. They're currently operating in Saskatoon with service to Toronto. Our view is we want to see them consider Ottawa. We see them making big investments in Ottawa as almost like a little hub for Porter, with lots of connections to both Canada and the US. We are actively talking with them. We have provided, we believe, a really attractive package for them to consider Ottawa. But ultimately, folks, the choice is with the airline. And if you want to see Porter operating at YQR, you need to tell them, because we're telling them. And I'm going to encourage everyone watching this today, take a moment, go on social media that you're on right now, and tell Porter, consider flying to YQR, come to the Queen City, that you will support them and that you want to see them begin operations as soon as possible. And that's what we're telling them right now.
Does YQR plan on getting any more daily or weekly international flights?
So what we do with airlines, we market to them. So we are regularly pointing out where we think they should be flying or also the frequency in those flights. But it can be a real challenge. So for example, this year, we're seeing aircraft upgrades with both Air Canada and WestJet, which means, Kyla, they're taking some of those aircraft out of service when they're making those repairs and upgrades. It's actually made capacity a bit constrained for this winter. But when it comes to providing a business case and providing an opportunity for airlines to make money in our market, what we've been doing is keeping our fees and charges low to those airlines. So each time an airline lands here, they're not paying as much as many airports in the country. At the end of the day, though, it comes down to what our customers are utilizing these planes for. And that's why it's so important that you use your local airport when you consider travel. And that doesn't matter if you're doing domestic, if you're doing international. You really got to consider making sure you spend your money at YQR, show those airlines the love that they need, so they'll consider adding more frequency to routes that are popular.
Okay, my last question. Last week, we released WestJet's sun destinations on our social media. Is there anything you can tell us about that winter schedule?
Oh, for sure. So WestJet is about 65% of our flying. In fact, in the wintertime, we typically would have an additional airline come that we all know is Sunwing. Well, there's been a big change in the marketplace. WestJet has acquired Sunwing. So for all intents and purposes, Sunwing is really more, I'm going to call them a travel agency. You can book online, but really they're not operating any aircraft any longer. The other thing that's really important to note with WestJet's transition, they're also doing a lot of aircraft maintenance this winter, meaning they're pulling a little bit out of aircraft out of service, and they're transitioning Sunwing to the WestJet brand. What this all amounts to is there's been a change in their strategy. They're focusing primarily on Mexico from YQR. And what we're seeing is double-digit seat increases for places like Cancun and Puerto Vallarta. But they're removing some popular routes, places like Orlando. But we're also not going to see Cuba or Puerto Plata. Now keep in mind, you can fly to these places almost every day of the week through a major hub. Through Calgary, or maybe using one of the new US hubs, or of course Vancouver or Toronto, you have access to all these markets. But let's be honest, we all love our nonstops, right? Getting on the plane here, getting off. But rest assured, folks, WestJet has been a great partner of not just YQR, but all Western Canadian airports. As those aircraft come back into market, we're going to see an increase in capacity. And I certainly expect that we're going to see destinations return in future years. Lots of Mexico, just a few less choices, but more frequency to places like Cancun and Puerto Vallarta than we've had in previous years.
That's all I have for today. We're going to be back soon with more questions about the terminal, maybe some more air service questions. But thanks, James.
Great. Well, thanks so much.